Sahanavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavitvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yesterday we saw how Janaka joyfully exclaims that I have understood what you tried to teach me, O my master Ashtavakra, and now I am freed from the delusions of thinking that I am the limited body or mind, but now I realize that I am the very fundamental substratum, the consciousness, which is ever expansive and never limited. And then he is joyfully explaining his experience, how it is like the bubble, the water, the wave. They are not different, they are one and the same. Likewise, all that what we see around us as the world, or even as an individual self, or even as the divine in some form or name, they are all modifications of the same consciousness. And that is what I am in true sense. I am not different from that. And then he says that by some grace of yours, by some strange power, I have developed this ability to discern this truth. And definitely does not credit himself with the truth. He says, definitely it's something beyond me which has made this happen. The divine has become happy and grace Janaka with the wisdom. All spiritual practice is to prepare ourselves to receive the wisdom. Like a pot needs to be baked and dried and made strong without leaks and holes in order to receive water. So, all efforts on the spiritual path is only to prepare ourselves to be the deserving recipients of that ultimate truth. So, in the first few shlokas, he keeps on saying that I am the one which illumines the whole world. In my awareness, everything becomes known, and therefore I am the ultimate supreme self and nothing less than that. Then he goes on to explain how he looks at the world now. He says, if I look around, I see just like threads are seen, threads make the cloth. We only see the cloth, we don't see the threads. Likewise, we see the Jagat, we see the worldly manifestations, but we don't see the inner essence. So that is what he explained in the shloka number 5, 2.5, that tantu matro bhavedeva pato yad dvicharitah atma tanmatra mevedam tadvad vishvam vicharitam is the page number 26. It simply says that tantu matraha, just the threads they are. What bhaved eva pato, pata means a piece of cloth. So if you look at a piece of cloth and vicharataha, analyze it, observe it carefully, what do you see? Tantu matra, it's only threads. It appears to be a piece of cloth, but it is nothing but the interweaving of the threads. So if you really analyze the piece of cloth, you will see the thread behind it, which makes the cloth. Likewise, tat eva vishwam, that is how this whole world is. Vicharitam, once you analyze thoroughly, atmamat tanmatram, atmamat, all this is nothing but atman only. And atma tanmatram means like the thread to the cloth, atman is the very basic building block on which this whole world has been built. Think of the TV screen. On the screen, you see so many pictures. But if you really deeply discern, you are actually not able to see the screen, but because of the screen, you are able to see all the pictures. A story for the children just to understand it better. There was a child who wanted to go to the cinema, and father said, okay, let me take you. In those days, the cinemas were made of a piece of cloth, which was the screen on which projector would project all the pictures. So people would see the movie and they would enjoy it. So when this boy went, he asked his father, what's going on? His father said, there is a screen on which projecting all the pictures, the people, the trees, the mountains, the hut, the road, everything is being seen on the screen. So the boy asked, which is the screen? The father said, that which is there in front of us is the screen. He said, is the tree the screen? He says, no, tree is not the screen. That which is behind the tree is the screen. Then he asked, is the house the screen? Because that is what is behind the tree in the movie. He said, no, even the house is not the screen. Screen is even behind it. He said, is the sky the screen? Because sky is behind the house in the movie. Father said, no, even that is not the screen. But the son was not able to understand. Then what is the screen? Because I can only see the tree, the house, and the sky and the mountains. But you say none of this is the screen, but there is a screen. Then there was an interval, and the movie was switched off for some time for a short snacks break. And that is the time when the screen became visible because the movie was switched off, the projections were off. Then he saw it is nothing but that piece of cloth stretched across. That is the screen. Likewise, the whole world is being made visible because of the consciousness, which is like the basis, the screen. Everything else is projection on that. Because it is being continuously projected, we are unable to analyze and discriminate the screen from the projections. Like right now, you're watching me on the LED screens. Right now, I have occupied the whole screen. But because you have also seen the screen without any pictures on it, you know there is a screen on which pictures are being projected because you have analyzed it. Vicharata, you have thoroughly analyzed. Even a small student of our 6th class would tell how it is happening. There is a screen there on which projections are happening. Likewise, after you analyze thoroughly, you realize that actually there is only divinity, the consciousness which exists everywhere. Now the question is the screen there in the tree? Of course it is there. But is tree the screen? No. Is the screen there in the house? Yes. Is house the screen? No. Is the sky and the mountains, screen is there in them? Yes, screen is there in them too. But are they the screen? No. That is the analysis we have to do. Is the world real? No. Why? Because it does not exist on its own. It exists on a substratum called consciousness. Is consciousness there in the world? Of course, yes. Is world the consciousness? Of course, no. That is the analysis. Screen is there in everything that is projected on it, but none of this is actually the screen. But without the screen, none of this is visible. Likewise, the cloth seems to be visible as a cloth, but if you analyze it further, it is nothing but threads interwoven. So the idea of the whole existence is that there is only one divine which permeates everything end to end. It was said earlier, like the reflection permeates the entire mirror end to end. Like that, the divine permeates everything end to end, yet it is not bound by that, not bound by the projections. For now, the screen might be showing you a tree. Next moment, it can show you a house. The next moment, it can show you humans or animals or birds. It's not attached to any of it. It happily displays anything that is projected on it. Likewise, this Atman is not bound by the world and its limitations. Everything happens in it, yet it is not affected or attached to any of these things. Like the screen is not attached to the pictures that are moving on it. If there is a bloodshed, the screen doesn't become red, stained with blood. If there is a rain, the screen does not become wet with the rain. If there is a fire, the screen does not catch fire and burn. Likewise, this Atman remains free, and everything else is only a projection on it which comes and goes. Jagat means Jagat, that which comes and goes. But what remains is permanent, Shashvat. What is there is this self, the supreme self, Paramatman. And that Janaka has somehow figured it out by some divine grace, by some divine will. And that is what in Kathopanishad somewhere it says, that when you say Asti iti uplabdhavyasya tattva bhavo prasidati, it is said. The one who believes that God exists, this divinity exists, divinity becomes happy with such a person, and once it is becoming happy with such a person who believes in its existence, it reveals itself to the person. So you have to develop that absolute faith in the word of the Guru that you are the self and nothing other than that. Everything else is a projection on yourself. You are aware of everything because you are the awareness because of which you are aware. That idea is something that you have to develop firm belief in it. That belief itself is half the problem solved. The other half is some efforts. 50% of the success is when you believe in this truth. The other 50% is when you start putting efforts in accordance with this truth. I say you are divine. That is the simple one plain truth. Now, how should you be? Divine is selfless. Are we selfless? No. Then we are deviating from being divine. So, correct that deviation. Try to become selfless in every thought, word, and action, and you will go back to your divine self. Divinity is supreme peace. So, when we are disturbed in our mind, thoughts are bothering us, what do? We do analysis. Is this my real self? No. I am not supposed to behave like this because divinity does not behave like this. So, you correct yourself, go back. So 50% is faith. Faith is what? I am divine. The other 50% is effort. That whenever I deviate from my original nature, I must put efforts to go back to my original nature. So these two things, if we do, immediately we are able to achieve this realization which Janaka has also achieved. So it is for everyone. See, divinity is not something that is so difficult that it is not supposed to be achieved. It is supposed to be achieved by all. That is how it is. If you have enrolled for a particular class to learn a subject, it is meant for you to learn. Nobody is wanting you not to learn and making your life miserable or making the subject difficult. No, it is supposed to be learnt. That is why the subject is being taught. So, spirituality is not something that you cannot learn or it is beyond your abilities. No, you are that and it is very much within your reach. The right approach is required, the right methodology, the right pedagogy is required. Then you understand this truth very simply. Nisargadatta Maharaj was selling beedi and pan and things like that, a small shop in Bombay. He heard of a great being in Pune. He went every week to see him. And he wouldn't understand all these scriptures because he was not a learned man. He was a simple shopkeeper running household and a little shop to survive. But when he heard that great being say that you are divine, nothing other than divine, believe it. He simply believed it and he credits his experience of self realization simply to this one thing that he believed his guru who told that he is divine. Despite all his faults and frailties, all his negativities, all his shortcomings, his guru said, you are divine, and he believed I am divine. There was no looking back after that for Nisargadatta Maharaj. So the Janaka is like that. He believes that his guru said, you are divine. You are none other than divine. He believed it. And look at it, how it has manifested, how it has made itself available to Janaka now. Tattva bhavo asti iti, it exists. The one who says upalabdhavyasya, who believes in its existence, tattva bhavo, the ultimate supreme truth, prasidati, becomes happy and reveals itself. Yamai Vesha Vrunate Tena Labhyaha, we said yesterday. The one whom it chooses, it reveals itself. And how does it choose the right person, the deserving person? The one who is having this kind of shraddha, this kind of faith, this kind of tapas, this kind of nishtha, this kind of absolute dedication towards this path. To such a person, it becomes available, it reveals itself. To Janaka, he has revealed, the truth has revealed itself to Janaka, and Janaka now sees the truth in everything and explains in his own way, in the poetry of it, that like a piece of cloth is not really a piece of cloth, it is just threads put together. Likewise, this whole world is not the world, it is just God put together. It is divinity, nothing else but manifestation of divinity. And he continues, Yathai Vekshurase Klupta Tena Vyaptaiva Sharkara Tatha Vishwam Mayi Kluptam Maya Vyaptam Nirantaram. In the sixth shloka it says that just as the sugarcane juice, Ikshurasa, Klupta is dissolved, it's present in every grain of sugar, and vice versa. Sugar is present in every drop of the sugarcane juice, or sugarcane juice is present in every crystal of sugar which is made out of it. Likewise, Tatha Vishwam Mayi Kliptam Maya Vyaptam Nirantaram, like that this whole world is within me. Every part of me is, I contain this world, I manifest this world, and vice versa. I exist in the world, world exists in me in the same way. I am the one who permeates this entire creation. Mahi Vyaptam, Nirantaram, and not for one day and not the other day. Nirantaram, continuously I am manifesting in the whole of this world. You would say, what about when we sleep off? When we are in deep sleep? Deep sleep, you may be sleeping, but your awareness is not sleeping. Your awareness is still there, because when you wake up, you haven't forgotten anything. You remember everything, even though while in the deep sleep, you don't remember a thing about yourself. In sleep, everybody becomes one. It is a great leveler, equalizer. How dog also sleeps the same sleep as humans, so also the birds and the beasts, so also the jnani and the agyani. In deep sleep, we all become one. We are not different from each other, because we all have forgotten our identities, and we just become completely zero. Yet when we wake up, we regain the consciousness, we regain all our memories, we don't forget anything. It's only a temporary switch off of our mind. Therefore, we are not aware. But our awareness is always running in the background. That is why we are able to recollect everything once we wake up. Like when we switch off the fan, the breeze will stop coming. But electricity is still running. It is just that the electricity at this point of time is not able to manifest through the mechanism of the fan and give us breeze, because we have switched it off. Likewise, mind switches off during deep sleep. Awareness does not switch off. Awareness is very much there. The moment mind is switched on again, as soon as we wake up, what happens? The awareness again comes back that I am so and so, I am a student in such and such class, and I am a person of this nature. Everything comes back to us. Many times, if you are in a very deep sleep, when you wake up, for a second or two, you are at a loss of that memory. Have you realized that? Once you wake up, suddenly you say, where am I? What am I doing? Kind of a thing. And then it takes a second or two for the mind to warm up and quickly remember everything as per your awareness. But when you wake up, are you not aware that you are alive? You are very much aware. But sometimes it takes a moment to know who you are, what is your name, what are you doing here, which is this place where you slept, when did you sleep, what is the time now. This all takes a little time, because the mind is switching on. Like when you switch on the fan, immediately it does not start rotating at full speed. Slowly, gradually it picks up the speed and then rotates. Likewise, when we sleep also, when we switch off our mind to sleep, the fan rotates slowly and then gradually goes and stops. Like that, mind also slowly gets absorbed into the awareness, consciousness. In Prashnopanishad, beautiful story, analogy comes, like how birds, they wake up in the morning and go around the world, but return to the same branch in the night. Likewise, the mind wakes up in the morning and goes around doing its all things, and again comes back to the same branch of consciousness and merges itself in the consciousness. That is the analogy Prashnopanishad gives. Likewise, our consciousness is always running behind. Like the screen is always there. For some time, if you switch off the projector, there are no pictures. But the moment switch it on, again projections start. Does it mean screen disappeared when the pictures disappeared? No. Screen was always there. The projector was switched off, so there were no pictures. Likewise, in Samadhi Sthiti, when the mind is absorbed in the superconsciousness, you do not realize the presence of the world, your body, or anything around you. Because the mind has become completely absorbed in the self. Manonasha, they call it, or Manolaya. So, Samadhi is that sthiti when the yogi is able to withdraw the mind and senses, like the tortoise which withdraws its limbs. Prajna Pratishtita, they are the people who withdraw it, and they said establish themselves in the complete purity of that self. So they are aware that they are alive, but they are not aware of the things around, because the mind, which is the projector, which projects the pictures on the screen of the consciousness, is switched off for that moment. So that is the whole thing. So think of mind as the projector, think of screen as the consciousness, and think of all the pictures as the world that we experience through our mind. And everybody experiences the world differently. Remember Duryodhana and Dharmaraja story. Dharmaraja says there is not a single bad person in the world. Duryodhana says there is not a single good person in the world. Because their minds were different, their projections were different. But where consciousness is the same, nevertheless, awareness is the same. See, that is the beauty of a scripture. It says whether you are a saint or a sinner, ultimately you are equal in the consciousness. You are not more or you are not less. You are not greater or you are not lesser. But that does not allow a sinner to think, so I am equal to the saint. No. Because you are still not realizing that. So you can't be equal to that. That humility should be there. When you become spiritual, some people develop an air of arrogance about themselves. I know so many scriptures, I know this, I know that. That is foolishness. That is why Kenopanishad says, those who say they know, they don't know. Those who say they don't know, they actually know. Because when you realize spiritual wisdom, you become humble. Humility is the hallmark of greatness, as they say. So these great ones are very humble because they realize everything is self. Everything is self. They don't mind bowing down in front of anybody. Why? Because there is no second over there. The very scriptural truth is manifested in our greeting in India. Namaste we say, right? Namaskara we say. What does it mean? Namahakara, not me, not me. It's only the divine. That is how we greet. And when we do namaste, we are bowing down to whom? Not to the person, the physical person. Maybe yes, for the respect of it. But deep down we believe that the one in me is divine, the one in you is also divine, and this divine is bowing down to the divine in you. That is why namaste. That is why we put our hands together and surrender ourselves to the person in front of us, because we are truly surrendering our mind and senses to the divine in front of us. That is true respect. That is true respect when you respect the divinity in each other. That is why when we by mistake, our feet touches somebody, we immediately touch them. The Indian way it is. We just don't say sorry and walk away. We touch them and do namaskars because we believe we have kicked the divine, or to touch the divine with the feet. So also everything, paper or stones or any object, we worship everything, because in everything we know that there is divinity alone exists. They are not worshipping the box or the book or the paper. They are worshipping the divinity that is manifest in each of these aspects. Sarva Jiva Namaskaram Keshavam Pratigachati. Whomever you bow down to, it reaches the divine, it is said. Likewise, this idea itself is so deep in our scriptures. Even an unlettered fellow, a rickshaw driver who starts his auto rickshaw in the morning, what does he do? He does namaskar to his own auto rickshaw. Householder, a woman, a grihini, goes to the kitchen, does namaskar to the fire on which she is going to cook. Our people who are working, construction workers, they do namaskar to the tools they are going to use. When we do Bhumi Puja for a building, we do namaskar to the very earth on which we are going to build. Because we see divinity in everything. We may not know it extensively. That is, by habit we do namaskar. But deep down, this is the significance. That like sugar is there in every drop of the juice. Everything is sweet in the juice. No part is bereft of that sweetness. Likewise, the divinity permeates everything. None of this universe, the creation, or anyone in this room or beyond is bereft of divinity. What a positive thought. Just think about it. How positive it is. That yes, I am divine, everything is divine, all are divine. The very thought itself is so very liberating, which is not there in many philosophies around the world. But Sanatana Dharma says it loud and clear that all are divine, all are divine. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Those Mahavakyas say it again and again. So this is the experience. So beautiful. Ashtavakra has taught this to Janaka. Janaka has become elated. And he says, like the sugar cane juice is permeated by sugar, like that the whole world is permeated by me. He is identifying himself with the self. He is no more identifying himself as Janaka, the body, because his body cannot permeate the world, nor can his mind, because so many things can remain beyond the reach of his body and mind. But he says, I am permeating everything, nothing is beyond my reach. He is talking about himself as the very supreme consciousness, which now he identifies himself with. And wrong identification is over, right identification has started. Then coming for pages after that, I do talk about the glory of the Guru. We chant Guru Ashtakam, right? In that he says, Guru Ashtakam ya patet punya dehi yati bhupati brahmachari chagehi. He says, whoever chants the Guru Ashtakam, means not simply chant, means not repeat what Guru said, but practice what Guru says. What happens? Yati bhupati brahmachari chagehi. Yati means mendicant, vanaprasthi. Bhupati means the king, brahmachari, student, or gehi, the householder. Anybody who understands the Guru's words and practices it, what happens? Labhet vanchizartham param brahma sangya. Param brahma sangya, not just that all other desires are fulfilled for them, but they attain the highest param brahma sangya, ultimate wisdom they attain. Guru rukta vakye mano yasya lag. The one who listens to the Guru's words, Guru Rukta Vakya, the one who listens to what Guru has spoken, so such a person, this Brahmagyana also happens. You need not be a mendicant alone to qualify for Brahmagyana. You can be a king like Janaka, a father of 4 daughters, a husband, a statesman, and still you can attain Brahmagyana. Why? Because Brahma Jnana is everybody's birthright. Everybody's birthright. Tilak said, Swaraj hamara janma siddha adhikar hai. Freedom is our birthright, he said, during the colonial times. But what do I say? I say, Brahma Jnana is your birthright. Brahma Jnana hamara janma siddha adhikar hai. It is a birthright that we should attain Brahma Jnana. If we deny ourselves of attainment of Brahma Jnana, it is our fault. Nobody is stopping us from attaining it. Because our scriptures say, whoever you might be, the worst of the sinners also can become saint through Brahma Jnana. Shipram bhavati dharma atma shashvat shanti nijagacchati. Krishna says, immediately the sinner also becomes like Dharmatma, saint. In the fire of knowledge, all our sins are burnt away. In the fire of wisdom, all our wrongdoings are forgiven. Like the karmas are destroyed. When you roast the seed of karma in fire, its potency is gone. Like that. That is the idea of Brahma Jnana. How wonderful. And this is the idea from all scriptures. Why I keep quoting from different scriptures here and there, because I just want you to know that what Ashtavakra is saying is not just his own ideas. This is what everybody has experienced. The rishis of the Upanishads have experienced this. The jnanis of great Bhakti Parampara have experienced this. In all paths, in all ways, in so many ways, so many people have experienced the same truth. So they can't be lying. If so many people are saying the same thing across so many centuries, in so many places, in so many circumstances, then it has to be the truth. So what if you don't see it? So what if you don't experience it? If so many people have experienced it before you, it has to be the truth. And that is what I said. Truth stands the test of time. Ashtavakra must have been composed in much later. Bhagavad Gita came earlier. Before that, Upanishads had come. Before that, probably just verbal communication on this Brahma Jnana was there. But all of them across centuries and millennia have experienced the same truth, and they've spoken about it. And they were not talking to each other on phones and WhatsApps. Yet they have all understood the same truth, which means it is truth because it has transcended the limitations of desha kala paristiti, time, space and causation. So it has to be the truth. That is what this Brahma Jnana is. How beautiful is what I am saying, this idea that all our scriptures talk about it, all our great ones have talked about it. I'll go to the next shloka, 2.7, which is on the page number 44. The shloka says, again Janaka is continuing to speak. He says, Atma Ajnana Jagat Bhati, Hi Atma Jnanat Na Bhasate, Rajva Jnanat Ahir Bhati, Tad Jnanat Bhasate Nahi. Atma Ajnanat, without the knowledge of the self, Jagat Bhati, the world appears to be real. Bhati means illumined. As if you see the world around you thinking it is real because of the ignorance of the self. You do not know that self alone exists. You think world exists, but self alone exists. The moment you have Atma Jnana, you realize that Supreme Self is the substratum, the fundamental of everything. The world stops appearing, he says. Now you say that's not true. World just continues to appear. What it means is that world stops appearing to be real to you. You figure it out that the world's existence is unreal. Self is the real. Like when you are dreaming. Sometimes while in dreaming, we come to know we are dreaming. Once we come to know we are dreaming, we are not attached to the dream anymore, are we? But sometimes we are so lost in the dream that we just can't come out of it. We think dream is real and we start believing it. But sometimes we dream in such a way that we are aware that we are dreaming. Then we are not attached to the dream. Likewise, because we are not aware of the self, we think world is real. The moment you became aware of the self, the world seems to become unreal. Similarly, like this example we know, Rajva Ajnana Ahir Bhati. Ahir means snake. Like when you are unaware of the rope, you think there is a snake. You only see the snake where there is a rope. We talked about it, Rajju Sarpanyaya. We think there is a snake in the rope and we get very scared. But the moment jnana happened, tad jnanat bhasate nahi. The moment you realize that it is only a rope, where is the snake? Snake has disappeared, isn't it? No, snake wasn't there in the first place. You imagined it to be there. It didn't disappear because it wasn't there in the first place. Now this is a little deep philosophy. Let us spend a little time to understand. What does it say? The world is unreal. The emotions that we go through, the achievements, the great work that we do, the great things that we acquire, All this is unreal, he says. What is real is, it is the self manifesting in so many ways. The self alone is real. All other modifications are truly unreal. Like water alone is real. The waves are unreal, he is saying. The waves are also water. Yes, to that extent they are real. That if you think they are also water, yes, they are manifestation of water. But waves don't have an independent existence of their own without the water. Likewise, the world does not have an independent existence of its own without the self which is helping the world to appear. Like the snake does not have an independent existence without the rope. The rope is making the snake appear to be real. But once you know there is only self, the Jnani would see the water while the Ajnani will only see the waves. The Jnani will see the rope, whereas the Ajnani will still see the snake. For that is, so when a Jnani looks at people, he does not look at them as sinners and saints and great ones or the lesser beings. He sees all of them as equal. Panditaha Samadarshinaha, he sees equality in everyone. He doesn't see us as a man or a woman or a rich or a poor or a learned or an unlettered person, a sinner or a saint. He looks at them as the same self manifesting in so many ways. Therefore, they can develop that unconditional love. They stop judging us for our minds. They can see beyond our minds and its limitation, and that's why Gyanis can love us. When you go to a great saint, you experience love. Why? Because that saint is seeing the goodness in you, the divinity in you, ignoring all the other aspects, both positive as well as negative. He only sees that neutral divinity, and so he is able to love you. He is able to give you that compassion, love. What Swami Vivekananda says, every being is potentially divine. You know, our students know kinetic and potential energies. Kinetic energy is the manifestation of the energy in the motion. Potential is unmanifest energy, which can manifest if a ball is given a push, the potential becomes kinetic. Or if a stone falls from the cliff, potential becomes kinetic energy. Likewise, we all have potential possibility of being divine. But we don't manifest it in our thought, word, and action. That is the gap. And a Jnani accepts us despite our faults and accepts us and makes us better. That's why he said, even if you feel guilty of your wrongdoings, don't run away from God. Running away from God is not going to help you. Even if you are guilty of a lot of wrongdoing, still come to God. God will accept you because God is made of that love. And that love he sees in everyone. That's why God alone can redeem the wrongdoers. Humans cannot redeem. If courts and laws and order and police could have corrected the whole society, by now everybody should have been a good person. No, it doesn't happen. When Angulimal was there, he used to keep chopping the fingers of all the passers by in the forest and would hang around his neck as a mala. Anguli Mala. That is why his name was Anguli Mala. Because he would put all these fingers he would string them into a mala, a necklace around his neck and hang around and proudly say, these many people I have killed so far. That was his achievement. So he meets Gautam Buddha. Siddhartha is walking by the same forest. He is mendicant. And then Angulimala wants to chop him also. Chop his fingers also and hang it. Then Buddha says, there is nothing that I have got to offer. I have only this body. See, if I was a wealthy man with something, I could have offered you this thing. But I have nothing. This body is there. If you want to kill the body, so be it. Go ahead. He never saw anybody so fearless. Because the moment he caught hold of somebody in the forest, they all were scared for their life. They cried, begged, and said, please leave us. But Buddha was unafraid, fearless. He was standing, saying, it's all right, but what pleasure do you derive by killing people? The hanging with this mala around your neck, what is that you attain? Anguli Mala had never come across somebody so bold and courageous. He was stunned, he was shocked that such humans also exist. And immediately something stirred in him. And he became the disciple of Buddha and learned from him. And then he gave up this idea. Now, Buddha could have treated Angulimala in any which ways. He just calls him like, my child, what is that you will gain out of killing me or killing anyone? What joy do you derive? I have only this body. What use is this body to you? I have no wealth. If you desire to kill me, so be it. I am here. I am not running away. That idea itself was foreign to Angulimal, that how can somebody be so bold and fearless? And that is how he becomes the disciple of Buddha and gives up all these wrongdoing. The idea is that the Jnani will accept even the sinner very easily. Why? Because he does not see the sin part of it. He sees the It's divinity in that person also. Look at the beauty of jnana. It helps you become so impartial, so balanced, so accepting of everything and everyone. That is why people flock to saints and sages. Otherwise, why will they go? Because they feel accepted, they feel loved despite their faults. They don't feel judged because Jnani is seeing God in everything, in everyone. So Jnani is not going to treat you differently. Society will treat you differently, but a Jnani would not. That is why you should go to a Jnani, because first thing you experience is that pure unconditional love. After that, that love transforms you and you become a better person. That is the method of Jnanis. So here he says that like the rope and the snake appeared to be real so far, but the moment you attain the wisdom that it's only a rope and not a snake, the snake disappeared and fear disappeared and all your anxiety disappeared. How did it happen? Because knowledge dawned upon you. You realize that it's only a rope and not a snake. Likewise, the moment you realize it's all God, it's all divinity, and not human beings or animals or trees and birds and beasts, good and bad and ugly, suddenly all this judgment will disappear. Suddenly all this us versus them will disappear. All this narrow mindedness of I, me, mine will disappear. You will accept everybody with open arms. That is the wisdom, that is the power of wisdom that helps you attain that. We all chant that in the morning also. Pratasmarami mantram you chant. In that it comes, right? One of the paragraph. What is that paragraph I read? Pratar namami tamasa paramarka varnam purnam sanatana padam purushottamakyam yasmin idam jagat ashesha shesha murtau rajvam bhujangam iva pratibhasitam vai. Like the world appears in the self the same way as the snake appears in the rope. And whole of the rope looks like whole of the snake. See, ashesha murtau it says. Every aspect, like the sugar is there in every drop of the sugar cane, like that, every aspect of this creation is divinity only. Ashesha murtau. How long is the snake? As long as the rope is. How fat is the snake? As fat as the rope is. How twisted is the snake? As twisted as the rope is. Which means the whole world is permeated by divine. Whichever way you think, good or bad in the world, everything is permeated by the divine, like the entire rope is permeated by the snake. In the same way, this is the idea. I know there are bad things happening here. Janaka knows that. He's a king. He must have punished a lot of criminals. He also knows a lot of good things are happening. He must have rewarded a lot of good people in the process. But he does not now does not see the difference between the two. He sees everybody as divine. Crooked or straight, all are divine. This is the realization that Janaka has suddenly developed. And that is his joy. Because when you are not able to love, we feel miserable. When we are able to love, we feel very joyful. Try that out. When you are able to really love people unconditionally, there is some kind of a joy that you experience, the divine joy. But when you are judging people, you're hating people, you're ostracizing people, you're punishing people, you're segregating people, dividing people, you feel a lot of disturbance within, because that is not in accordance with your divine nature. The true nature is love. True nature is unconditional kindness and compassion. Even if you see the snake, you know the snake is only a projection. I know he's a bad person, but that's only his mind. His vasanas, his samskaras are like that. But deep down, he is also a good person, he is also divine. That understanding helps you do the right things always. And that is the power of jnana. Everybody becomes a jnana in this world. Imagine there won't be any strife, struggle, hatred, enmity, conflicts, chaos. Nothing will exist. Because everybody will accept each other. Yesterday, the Lama who was here was telling about interfaith dialogue and understanding and peace. How do you develop that? By just understanding the meaning of the shlokas, or reading the meaning of the hadiths, or reading the meaning of the Dhamma mantras? No. By experiencing it, like what Janaka is doing, then all judgment disappears, love prevails, conflicts disappear. That is the beauty of our scriptures. And this is why our Kenopanishad also has beautiful shloka. I taught that earlier, so I thought I'll just remind you. Pratibodha viditam matam amrutatvam hi vindate, it says. In every aspect you see the divine only. There is a shloka from Kenopanishad that in every aspect you see the divine. The one who does that, what happens? Atmana vindate viryam, attains immortality. Virya means tremendous courage. He's not afraid of anything because everything is him. He becomes courageous, he becomes daring, he becomes bold, he becomes fearless, like Buddha. Why no fear? Because everything is me. Atmana vindate viryam, vidyaya vindate amrutam. Says Vidyaya means knowledge of this self, you will attain immortality. Because you don't die, bodies die. You don't die. So there is immortality. That idea itself is immortal. He says, Pratibodha vidam matam. In every aspect, in everything that is happening around you, see the hand of the divine. See the presence of divinity. See the divinity itself in everything. So people said, oh, bad times are coming. Like yesterday I mentioned, a lot of people go through a lot of suffering and they say, why should we suffer? Because suffering has sometimes brought us closer to God, closer to the divine. Maybe good times will not take us closer to divine. That is why Kunti, Vipadah Santuta Shashvat, Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru, keep giving me difficulties again and again, troubles to me again and again, sufferings and sorrow to me again and again. Why? Bhavatu yad darshanam syad na punarbhava darshanam. Because every time I'm in trouble, you come, I have your darshan. Because of your darshan, I don't have to have the darshan of Yamadharma Raja. I don't have to be born again. So sometimes whatever is, we call it negative or wrong, in our own limited understanding might be positive because it takes us closer to God. How many speakers we have heard speak here about their trauma and difficulties in the life? But that is when they turned to God because nothing else was working. The friendships were not working, their wealth did not help them, their name and position, power, intelligence, skills, talents did not assuage their pain. The only thing that could help them was to go towards God. And that gave them the peace and relief and happiness that they were searching for. So we don't know, sometimes things look bad, but that is not really bad. Pratibodha viditam. For the sake of children's story, there are so many versions of it, but let us see, there was a king and there was his minister. And the king, while cutting apple, cut his finger and it was bleeding. So the minister said, everything happens is for our good. The king got very wild. He said, how is this for my good? I cut my finger, instead of sympathizing, you are giving me wisdom, which is good. Put him in the jail, he said. And the minister was put in the jail. Poor vice minister could not even protest. Then the king went hunting in the forest. And while he was there, he lost his way and separated from his people. And finally was captured by the tribal people in the forest. And all of them were preparing for a new festival. And during the festival, that it was a ritual to sacrifice a man, a human. So that was there in old times, human sacrifices. So they caught hold of this king now, who was helpless alone. He was separated from his retinue. And they caught him, tied him up and said, now we are going to do bali, sacrifice him. So before doing the bali, they check the person, whether he is in good shape. Because they don't want to offer something which is imperfect to their God. So they started checking the king for his limbs are proper, everything is okay. Then they found a cut, in his finger was cut. They said, oh, this is improper, this bali or this sacrifice is not good because the person whom we are sacrificing is not perfect in his limbs. So they let him go. So king somehow finds his way back to his palace and then he calls the minister and falls at his feet and says, you were right, I was wrong. Because I cut my finger, they did not sacrifice me in the forest. Otherwise I would have been done and dusted by now. The minister says, see, I told you everything is for our good. He said, true, I believe that. But tell me, how was it good for you that you were jailed for no fault of yours? The minister said, if I was not jailed, I would have accompanied you. Maybe they would have sacrificed me instead of you. So it is good for me too. In everything you see the hand of God. Everything is divinely willed, divinely designed. Good, bad, ugly, everything is divinely designed. The Jnani sees it like that. I think it's Kabir Das again. He says, भला हुआ मेरी गगरी फूटी, मैं पनिया भरन से छूटी, मेरे सर से टली बला. Which means, good that my pot has broken. Now I am freed from bringing water, fetching water from the river. I am free now, good riddance. That is what the Gopika is singing. Because every day she has to fetch water in her pot from the river. And she misses being with Krishna. She misses being with Krishna. Because she has to do her chores. So one day when the pot is broken, she says, good riddance. The pot is broken. Now I don't have to go to the river and fetch water anymore. I can be free. Likewise, so this is God's plan. Pratibodha vijitam matam. In everything you see your divinity. You see divinity in every aspect of it, whether you feel it is good or you feel it is bad. In everything you see the divine. See the divine hand. Then Atmana Vindate Viryam. You become courageous. Where is this fearlessness coming from? This idea that divine is under, everything is under divine control, divine is in charge. That makes you fearless. Like a child is fearless when the father throws the baby in the air. The baby is giggling and laughing. If somebody throws us, we'll be yelling and crying because we'll collapse on the floor. But a baby is giggling every time the baby is thrown up in the air. It knows my father will catch me back. He won't drop me. That becomes fearless. Atmana vindate viryam. Knowing yourself, you become fearless. Vidyayam vindate amrutvam and amrutam. When you realize this knowledge that there is no snake over there, there is only a rope, amrutam, you attain immortality. You don't run behind these mortal things. You only aim for the immortality. This is the beauty of our scriptures. How well they have explained, and I am quoting from multiple Upanishads just to drive home a point that it is not just Ashtavakra's personal knowledge or experience or Janaka's personal knowledge or experience. This is the experience of the great rishis who have spoken about it across time and space. So it can't be untrue, it can't be false. So this is how you attain the highest truth, and then all these superimpositions, these perceptions that we have developed about world being real, money being real, relationships being real, fame and name and position and power being real, disappears from our mind. We only see the self, and whatever happens in our life, we take it in the positive spirit because we know everything is divinely designed. I have asked for God and God has planned everything for me here. There was a quote in our library when I was studying. It said, God has a plan for me and that is all I need to know. I don't need to know the plan. I just need to know that God has a plan. Enough for me. I don't need what is the plan. That faith, that surrender is something that takes us to these higher, loftier ideas of attaining the self. And once you attain the self, this becomes your nature. That you see God in everything, you have no problem with anything or anyone. You're able to happily exist between all the difficulties in life. And look at the lives of saints and sages. They were not very easy lives. Whoever took to the path of God, they went through their own sets of challenges because that is what made their resolve strong and helped them develop this vision that divinity is in everything and everyone. With that, we'll go to the next sloka. That's on page number 47, 2.8. It says, Prakasho me nijam rupam natirikto smyaham tataha yada prakashate vishvam tada aham bhasa eva hi. Again, the similar idea. Prakasho me nijam rupam. My true nature is light, illumination. I am not full of darkness. I am not full of ignorance. I am brightness. I am illumination. I am light. Means I am wisdom. Light is equal to wisdom. In light, we can see things clearly. When there is darkness, we don't see things clearly. It is in the darkness we think rope is a snake and get scared. But in light, we know rope is a rope and we are not scared anymore. Likewise, Prakasho me nijam rupam. My nature is that of illumination, wisdom. Na atirikto asmyaham tataha. He says that other than that, I am nothing. My complete nature, it means you say no, some bit of darkness is there in you. No, not possible. When the sun shines, there is no darkness. Sun knows no darkness because it is illumination all the time. It is self-illumination. Like that, this effulgence is my nature and I am not different from it. I am none other than that. I am always illumined. Even if I think I am not, actually I am. Like in the night, we don't see sun. Darkness prevails. But sun has not seen night ever. Has sun seen a night in his life? Never. Sun can never see a darkness. Sun can never know what is a night like because he is self-illumined. He only knows day. He knows only light. He knows no darkness. Like that, myself is absolutely wise and illumined. I know no darkness. I know no ignorance. I know no unreal things. Yada prakashate vishvam tada aham bhasa evahi. And just as the world is illuminated, it is illuminated by my own light. As I am shining, so is the world shining, he says. It is in my wisdom that the world is appearing. As I am illumining the world, so the world is appearing to me. That is why I said, when you are withdrawing yourself into the consciousness state, world disappears for such people, because that connection of the world is not there. The idea is that everything we experience is because of this awareness that we possess, which is our nature. So if any moment you say, I am a poor man with a stupid habits and wrong ideas and limitations, you should discard all that immediately, because this shloka says your nature is light, your nature is wisdom, your nature is illumination. You know no darkness, you know no negativity. Nothing can touch you which is lesser than that. You are that, none other than that. This is an amazing thought process, that whenever small ideas, negative ideas, petty, silly, stupid things trouble us, tell yourself, this is not me, this is not my nature. Maybe clouds can come sometimes and cover the sun. For a moment, there could be darkness around. But that is unreal. Clouds are not real. Like that, sometimes our mind gets clouded with negative thoughts, limited thoughts, selfish thoughts, or not very good thoughts. But they are all temporary. Bhagavan would say, passing clouds, passing clouds. That is what it is. These ideas are passing clouds. My nature is like sun. I am the ever effulgent, ever radiant, ever shining sun. And all these darkness that apparently happens to me, like the clouds coming and hiding me or any other way, these are illusions. These are not real. They are temporary. They should go away. I should not associate and identify myself with them. That is what he is telling. The beautiful shloka from Mundakopanishad again, and Katopanishad also is there. It says, Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam, na yama vidyuto bhati kutoyam agnihi, tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam, tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. This is a shloka from Katopanishad. It's mentioned in the page number 49 though, but it is not from Ashtavakra. But I mentioned it because it's a beautiful shloka. It says, there the sun does not shine, the moon does not shine, there is no fire, there is no lightning. So how do we see things there? Tameva bhantam, that shines there, it says. That means the self shines there. And in its shine, everything is seen, and as it shines, so everything shines. For example, if you're a yellow bulb, everything would look yellow. In a red light, everything will look reddish. In a green light, everything look greenish. Like these lights are there up, colorful lights. Likewise, in that light of the self, everything becomes visible to us. We become aware of everything, good, bad, ugly, everything. That awareness is the reason why we are. That is why I keep telling, practice that. Object, who is seeing? If object is the seen, eyes are the seer. If eyes are the seen, mind is the seer. If mind is the seen, awareness is the seer, and there is no seer for the awareness. It is self-sufficient. Nirbharaha. It is self-sufficient. So always if you practice this and keep coming back to yourself, you realize that in this self only everything becomes known to you. And that self is unattached, unaffected by whatever happens around it. We are seeing everything because of light, right? But can we see light? We cannot see light. We see things in the light that is coming. How do we see things? All those physics, science people should tell us. The light goes and falls on the object, then the object reflects certain photons back, emits it back, that reaches our eye, casts an image in the retina, and that image is what we see as an object in front of me. In fact, when you see something red, it is actually not red. Have you ever thought about it? All those science students should think about it. When I see a thing as red, the thing is actually not red because it is emitting the frequency of red light. It is actually leaving the red light, so I am able to see it as red. It is absorbing all other frequencies and not absorbing the frequency of red. So I see it as red. I use a little bit of, if you do all these, because I am from chemistry, so I know how these states of energy are there. You know, all these electrons are there around atoms and they keep changing various states, S, P and all that stuff. So when they jump, they release a certain frequency. And that frequency is what we are seeing with our eyes. So book cannot, if book is seen as red, it is actually not red because it has absorbed all other frequencies and only reflected the red frequency back. So actually it's such an illusion, the world is such an illusion. What we see as red is actually not red. What we see as green is actually not green because the green frequency or wavelength is what it is throwing away, which is what is falling on our eye, and that is how we are seeing it as green. It means it is everything other than green, that object. So go and do some scientific thinking. I'm sure all the science, these are basic science, we have heard this long time ago. So that is how colors are seen. Because colors are seen because they are not absorbed. If they were absorbed, they won't be seen. In a dark, like we talk about this black hole, what happens? All the light gets absorbed, nothing is reflected back. So black hole does not mean it is an empty space, it is a solid space. But it looks like empty because the light does not get reflected back, it just gets absorbed in it, sucked into it. That is what is a black hole in the universe. Likewise, the mind is the reason why we experience the world in different ways, because each of our mind is made of different thoughts, vasanas, samskaras. That is why some people see the world as a beautiful place, some people see it as a miserable place, some people see it as full of nice people, some people see it as full of selfish, ugly people. Because our minds are like that. Minds are the filters that are filtering the light that is passing through. But the light itself is awareness. We don't see the awareness, but the awareness is the reason why we see everything. We see the bulb, we see the object, but can we see the light in between? We don't see the light in between. Light is passing through this medium, but we don't see the light per se. Like that, we don't see the awareness that is reason for us to experience the world. We experience the world like we experience objects around us, but we don't understand that it is the light that is. We theoretically know, but practically we can't see light. Practically, we can only see objects which are reflecting that light. Likewise, we can only experience the world, and by experience the world, we should say, yes, God exists. Why? Awareness exists. Why? Because unless it existed, this could not have been experienced. Unless light existed, this object could not have been seen. Likewise, unless God existed, this world could not have been experienced. That is why Pratibodha Viditam Matam. In every aspect of every experience the divine only. Because without that divinity, we would not experience anything in our lives. Good, bad, ugly, all is because of that divine awareness in us. And that is the idea. That everything is my projection. He is saying everything is shining in me. I am the reason why everything is around me happening. So this is the idea of Brahman, that it permeates and pervades everything. Hopefully you can meditate and contemplate a little more on this idea, because it is a subtle idea. See, the scripture is getting subtler and subtler now. So you will have to really meditate and contemplate an idea. What makes me experience everything? Is it my body, the organs, the brain, the physiology, the biology of it? Or is it a subtler aspect of my psychology, my mind, my thoughts, my emotions? Or is it something even beyond that, my consciousness, which makes me aware of my thoughts, which makes me aware of my body, which makes me aware of the world outside me? What is it? That question you must ask and keep doing this processing. And go inside and inside and inside and establish yourself in the awareness. Then you understand all these shlokas clearly. Otherwise, you would not understand any of it. Okay, I'll take up one more shloka, 2.9. The next shloka on page number 52. Aho vikalpitam vishwam ajnana mai bhasate rupyam shuktau fani rajjau vari surya kare yatha. He further elaborates on the illusion of the world. He says, this world is an imagination of who? Of ignorance. Because of ignorance, snake has appeared in the rope. We already agreed. Like that, this world appears to be real in our mind because of ignorance. And what is that ignorance? Like rupyam shuktau. Like we think silver exists in the, what you call shuktau means mother of pearls. That mother of pearls, that shell-like thing. When you open it, its surface shines like silver. So somebody who sees it from far will think a piece of silver is lying there. But it's actually mother of pearls. It's only an illusion. It's our perception that it is silver. Or fani rajjau, like snake in the rope. It appears to be a snake, whereas it's only a rope. Or vari surya kare tatha. Or like sun's rays which are shining in the vari, water. It appears like there is another sun in the water. Sun above, sun below. So these are appearances and illusions. These are all projections. They are not real. The idea is that we get too attached to these unreal things of the world, then we run behind it endlessly. And we never get it. We never get it. These are mirages, like water appears in the desert. It appears like real, but it is only that evaporation that is happening or the heat waves that are there that create an illusion that there is water. There is no water over there. Likewise, this Whole idea that the world will give me joy, I will become happier by associating with worldly things, all these ideas are illusory. They don't do any of these things. The joy is within you, which gets reflected in the world. World is not giving you any sense of joy. The joy is very much within you. And that joy is what is reflecting outside you. But you assume that the joy is outside you in the things of the world. Like the silver is in the mother of pearls, that shell, or like snake is in the rope, or like there is another sun in the water. These are all illusions. Whatever you're experiencing is what you are inside. Yad bhavam tad bhavati. They say what your feelings are, that is what your world is going to be like. A good person will see goodness everywhere. A bad person will see everything as bad. So it is just your inside. There's a story how a dog was going on chewing on a piece of dry bone. Kept on chewing, and thought, oh, nice juice is coming from the bone. But the truth is that all his teeth were hurting and it was bleeding. And he was drinking his own blood and thinking the blood is coming from the bone. Likewise, we think this world is the reason why we will be joyful, or this world is the reason why we will be miserable. Both are wrong. We are happy or miserable because of our own self. And we try to project it on the people around us. Because of them we are miserable, because of them we are happy, because of them we are like, no. Your true nature is divine happiness. And if you are anything other than that, it's because of distortions of the world. The illusion of appearance of a snake in the rope, like that appearance of sadness in the world or happiness in the world. These are all your appearances. These are not real. He says, don't depend on the world for anything for yourself, joy or sorrow. It is your own making. Once you become aware of that truth, no joy, no sorrow touches you, because you have gone beyond that. That's why Shankaracharya says, think of this world like a dream. In a dream, everything appears to be real. But it's only a dream, right? It is not real. What is the dream? Like you have, in a dream, you create a world of your own, don't we? In the dream, suddenly trees appear, houses appear, people appear, situations appear, and we go through all the dream. Whole night we have been dreaming. And we engage so much as if it's real. We become sad, happy, angry, or excited. All emotions we experience in the dream. But in the morning when you wake up, where is that world? Where is that tree? Where are the people? Where is that loss or gain? Where is the pleasure and pain? Where is that anger and frustration or excitement and joy? None of it exists. You just wake up to the reality that none of it is real. Like that, this world is only a projection, it's only a dream. That Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, we say, the creation, the sustenance, and the merger or dissolution, it is all happening in our mind. Our mind creates the world around us. We all live in our own world, a little world of our own in that big world. Everybody looks at the world very differently because of their own understandings and ideas, their filter of their minds. So don't depend on the external, is what Janaka is saying. I thought all this was real, because of which I was becoming happy, sad, angry, frustrated, excited, depressed. Now I realize none of this is real. My nature is self, which is pure, unblemished, peaceful, ever happy, unbound, unlimited. And all these are just projections on the screen, like dream that we dream in our mind. In the dream we see ourselves also. That you are also there in the dream, and somebody else, a friend is also there, and you are all going for a holiday. And you enjoy everything, but then you wake up, you realize none of this is true. Like that, the world, Vishwam Tyaktva Swapna Vicharam, Shankaracharya says. Think of the world as a dream, a happy dream or a nightmare, depends. But it is nothing to do with actually the world, it is to do with you. Whatever you have projected in the dream, that is what is your experience. Like that, whichever way you look at the world, that is how world appears to you. World by itself is not real. Snake by itself is not real. That silver shine is not silver. That sun in the water is not real. It's only the extension of the awareness, and as your mind is trained, that is how you see the world around you. That is the idea. So another small story of the world's illusory nature and our dream way. There is a Brahmin who went begging, was a very poor Brahmin. So that day he got a lot of milk when he begged. So he hung all that milk up on a pot of milk from the roof of his hut, and slept and dreamt. What is the dream? That he thought that tomorrow I'll make curds out of this milk, and then I will sell the curds because that is more in value. Then I'll get enough money. With that I will buy a goat. That goat will give a lot of milk. With that I will make more curds and sell, and then I'll buy a whole bunch of goats. Then I'll make more milk, more curds, and sell, and or cheese and everything else I'll make and sell. Then I'll buy a big cow. Then cow will give a lot of milk that I will sell, make curds and ghee and butter and cheese. I'll become rich. I'll buy more cows. And then I'll make a whole dairy farm out of it. I will have a lot of milk, butter, curd, cheese. I'll become very rich. Then I build a nice house. Once I build a nice house, I'll find a nice girl to marry. Once I get a nice girl to marry, I'll have nice children. But when these children will make mischiefs, I'll give them one kick and he kicks the pot. And all the milk is gone, so also all his dream. Vishwam tyaktva sapna vicharam. Give up this world like you will give up the dream. When you wake up in the morning, you don't insist, where is that pot, where is the milk, where is the cut, where is my wife, where are my children? None of them are real. They appear to have become real and you experience the joy and sadness of it. But when you wake up, you realize none of this is real. Like that, a jnani has woken up. See, Buddha means awakened. Awakened. You say, oh, so he was sleeping all the while and he just woke up? No. Ajnana nidra. From the ignorance, sleep of ignorance, he has woken up to this reality that only God, only divinity is real, everything is illusion. Everything that you experience in the world, the joy, the sadness, the happiness, the sorrow, everything is just a projection, it's not real. Real nature is unsullied, untainted, undisturbed, unagitated, ever peaceful, ever expansive, ever free self. Like the person who is dreaming is always free. Appears like he has got bound in the dream. He is in the dream, so he is struggling in the dream. But when he wakes up, the dream disappears. Once somebody asked Bhagwan, he was giving a discourse and said that if a lion is chasing you in a dream, right, and then you are all scared but that lion is not real. Lion is not real and you get scared that all this is real and then you get afraid. But that is not real. You get afraid, isn't it? Because we think there is a real lion going to eat me up now. How dreams can appear to be so real that they make you feel one of these tigers is definitely going to eat you up tonight. But it doesn't happen. You wake up and you are so relieved that none of this was real. Neither the tigers were real nor you were real. Nor all that chasing and being scared was real. Here you are, safe, secure. Nothing of this is true. This is the real idea. But then somebody was very smart. He said, how is that? Who are you then? If everything is a dream, then you are also a dream. This avatar is also a dream. He said, yes, of course, I am also a dream. But I am the dream lion who roars to wake you up, he said. I am the dream lion who roars and wakes you up and you come out of the dream. So avatars, jnanis are like this real Vedanta Kesaris, they roar in our dream. Wake up, you fool. You're thinking all this is real, none of it is true. And when we don't listen, they roar. And when they roar, we wake up in that shock. And then we realize, oh, it was after all a dream. So God has to also enter our dream to wake us up from our dream. That is how avatars come to this world, to wake us up. The jnanis come to the world to wake us up. Many times when small children are there, they might be dreaming something bad or they'll be sweating, throwing their hands and legs. What does the mother do? Mother goes and wakes them up gently because she doesn't want him to suffer unnecessarily. The temperature is going up, pressure is going up. Not necessary, right? Because it is not real. So once you wake up, the child says, where is that? Where is the tiger? Where is the tiger? Mother says, no tiger, that was your dreaming. Oh, is it? Thank God it was only a dream. Now the child is relieved. But is the suffering that the child was going through real? All the tension, the sweating and panting and worrying and all the temperature, pressure going up, was it all worth it? Not worth it, right? Why it was worth it? Because it was not real. Why worth it? Then when we run behind all the things of the world, when I look at all of you, I also think, is it worth it? You're taking so much of trouble, spoiling your health, losing your sleep, chasing all these shadows. Then I come with Ashtavakra Gita says, wake up. Enough is enough. You're fooling around. None of this is real. You're unnecessarily getting perturbed, disturbed, agitated, angry, frustrated, or on the other side, excited, exhilarated, surprised. None of this is necessary. None of this is true. You are unnecessary either suffering, both joys and sorrows is suffering only. Because the child gets too excited in the dream because he won a prize and starts jumping on the bed. What is the mother going to do? Same thing. Wake up. You didn't win any prize. Likewise. Both ways I tell you. When you get too excited, I tell you, what are you so excited about? Calm down. When you are very depressed and angry and frustrated, then I say, what are you worried about so much? This is also not true. Calm down. So both ways it is not real. This world is not real. That is what is saying. It's all our projection. Now it sounds, that is why Ashtavakra sounds dangerous, because then you suddenly develop a feeling. Then if nothing is worth it, then why should I study? Why should I work? Why should I even listen to Ashtavakra Gita when nothing is real? The truth is that, have you woken up from the dream yet? No. Then it is real only for you. Once you wake up, you can speak to me in these terms. Why should I study? Why should I work? Why should I do anything at all? But when you are not yet realized, don't imaginarily speak things. Don't theoretically speak things. Once you realize the self, you won't even speak to me like that. Because whatever is there, it is okay for you. You don't have any problem with anything. Only ignorant people come and ask these kind of wrong questions. Why should we do this? Why should we not do this? All this is wrong understanding. Real understanding, those who have, they will not have any problem. They say, of course it is a dream, but it is a part of the process. I am in the dream, it's divinely designed. Let me go through it without getting attached or affected by it. That is the attitude of the real people, good people, Gyanis. They'll go through the motions of life without getting too bothered and affected by it. They won't get sucked into every little situation and suffer. Because they know, it's like those dreams when you know that you are dreaming. But somehow you are not able to come out of the dream, that's all. It happens, right? Sometimes we are dreaming and we know it's a dream. But somehow we are not able to wake ourselves up. We are going through the dream. Sometimes the same dream repeats. And sometimes even we wake up and sleep again, the dream continues from where we left. That is how the world is. Like a dream. This is the idea that so beautifully our scriptures talk about. And this understanding, this ignorance, the wrong understanding is the reason why we are either suffering both happiness or sorrow. According to me, both are suffering, because any deviation from our original state of equanimity is a suffering only. You deviate positively also, it is suffering. You deviate negatively also, it is suffering only, and nothing other than suffering. Again, you can think and meditate on these ideas more. Think of your life as a dream. Think of your life as a projection on a screen. But you are the screen. You are the dreamer. You are not the dream. You are not the pictures on the screen. You are the screen. Like that, you have to go on thinking. See, the more you think about it, the more it becomes clear to you. The less you think about it, the less clarity will come. So continuously meditate on these ideas. That is why Pratasmarani Mantram itself is so beautiful. It is the essence of the entire thing. If you chant it correctly, Adi Shankaracharya's brilliance, that is. In 3 shloka trayam idam punyam, 3 shlokas, he explains the entirety of the entire Vedanta. How beautifully. To think that, even there also he talks, the 3 avasthas are there, Jagrita, Swapna, Sushupti. You are beyond that. What a beautiful mantra. So chant, when you are chanting every day, sit and meditate on each line. Don't chant like parrots. Sit and meditate. Prata smarami hridi samspuradatma tattvam. That self which emanates from my within. Spura means it just shoots forth. It just explodes. It shines forth. That truth within me. Satchit Sukham. Its nature is Satchit Sukham. Satchit Ananda. It is truth. It is awareness. It is joy. That is my true nature. Parama Gatim Turiyam, it says. Turiyam is the 4th state of awareness. Beyond the Jagrita, waking state, Swapnavastha, dream, and Sushupti, deep sleep, there is one 4th state called Turiya. That is the awareness, that is consciousness. That is what the mantra says. I have woken up just now, I had a dream, I also had a deep sleep. But I was also in the Turiya. Though I went through these 3, Jagrita, Swapna, Sushupti, while I was sleeping in my hostel, in my bed, yet I was the consciousness, the 4th one, which was always aware of the 3. Every morning if you wake up and chant this, how is it possible that you will not realize the self? That is what you should do. That is why these mantras are Pratasmarami mantra. Because the moment you wake up, tell yourself, yes, I was asleep, I slept, I dreamt, I was also in deep sleep when I was not aware of anything, but now I have woken up, this is another state. But through my waking, dreaming and sleeping state, there was this self, the consciousness, which was always awake. It never slept because my body and mind slept. And that is what my true nature is. Morning mantra, if you chant like this with perfect understanding, that itself will be redeeming you. So every mantra has been designed by our great ones to help us redeem ourselves. These are the ideas that I want to tell the whole world. Why should anybody suffer in any part of the world because of ignorance of such ideas? such truth. Just because they were not born here or they were not our students, why should they suffer? That's why we open this knowledge to everybody. Through YouTube or through whatever channels, it's going to be available to all. Let everybody think about it. Let everybody become a Jnani. Because we are all in the same boat, isn't it? If there are half the boat is Ajnanis and half the boat is Jnanis, these Ajnanis will rock the boat and cause damage to Jnanis also. So only when everybody is a Jnani, then there will be peace. With some Jnani, most Ajnani is not going to be achieved. Everybody should attain this Jnana. This is the idea. Live in the world, let the world not live in you. Let the boat be in water, let the water be not inside the boat. That's all is Jnana. Nothing changes. You continue to be the king, teachers, doctors, students, but the attitude changes. You're not attached to anything. It comes and goes. That's it. It comes and goes.